Welcome to Spin the Wheel Showdown, where every video I sit down with a guest and we're going to spin that leader wheel. And depending on what the wheel gets, we're going to be playing a game with two different random leaders, some of the leaders we have not played, and going to see who is the better leader. Now let's spin that wheel and see what we get. What's up, everybody? The wheel has spoken, and I'm going to be piloting some Reiju against Aegis's Lim. Good old Limothy. Has anybody actually seen that card, that leader? What's it do? But yeah, no, this is going to be a very interesting matchup. Funny enough, we actually borrowed this deck list from a buddy of ours. So this Lim deck, neither of us know how to play to a degree. So it's going to be a learning experience for Aegis here, as he plays against probably one of the more aggressive decks in the format, and that's Reiju. From my understanding, Lim kind of has a goal, as Aegis cannot figure out what card to grab off of Law here. He almost grabs the ace and then realizes, yeah, no. We need good old Straw Hat Pirates there. That Law, I think, is a 1k. Does some stuff with life, gets some stuff back from the yard. So I do know what that card does. So I will kind of have that in the back of my mind as we're playing the game here. But I ended up taking second. I think I took, I don't know. Lim likes to go first because Lim's ability requires 3 Dawn. You rest 3 Dawn. You get to put out a rested Dawn and then put into play a 5 cost or less, I believe, Odyssey card here. I'm going to take the first hit just to immediately take a 5k. I don't think my hand, I think I'm missing a piece from my hand right now, or else I would have countered out of that. But yeah, no. So he's going to play out the Sanji here. Sanji's effect, I think, is on a KO. So Lim is just going to try to establish board pretty quickly. A lot of their cards are going to be 5ks and 6k powers. If he sees the Doflamingo, that's going to be pretty scary, as Doflamingo is going to set himself up every single turn. But nevertheless, it's Reiju time. And then I'm going to Reiju all over the place. All right, let's see here. We're going to start with a Germa 66. Look at the top 5, and we're going to grab, I believe, we could grab the 7-drop ETG, as we probably take a gander at the hand here. Looks like we already have one in the hand. But it looks like we're missing little 4-drop ETGs. Instead, we're going to grab the stage because we are missing the stage here. And then we could have done something fun, but instead we're just going to keep searching here because we want to find that 4-drop kid. We did end up finding the matching pair to the 5-cost Nijis I have in hand, and it looks like actually I had no kid combo in hand, or else I would have played that Porsche out. We're going to swing 7k into Lim here. Lim did pick up that 1k, but it looks like they have a few 2ks in hand as well. They're going to go ahead and counter that and go up to 8s here. My goal is to search for ETG. If not, my backup plan, if I don't hit it out, if I don't find it off the draw or off the stage activation on this next turn, I'm going to be playing out Porsche into Niji here. Niji can just KO the Law here. One thing that you have to kind of think about when you're playing in a Lim matchup is a lot of Lim's effects rely on at least one other character being rested when playing out. So that Trafalgar Law on that first turn there, pretty nice, as it's going to pretty easily allow them to meet that condition here. Opponent's just swinging a bunch of into me, and I'm just going to counter out to the best of my degree because my hand is pretty large, and I do want to have the Reiju in to be able to have an effect. And you can see me reading Porcus the Ace. I was like, what the heck does that card do? That card, I believe, can rest something. There are a lot of incidental rest effects in the deck, so that's something I do need to keep in mind here as I commit to the board, as there could be ways for my opponent to just punish me if I don't have enough counter in hand to protect my threats here. We end up finding the Baby Reiju. We could Porsche into Baby Reiju here to draw quite a few cards. We also have the Niji combo as well. So there's a few avenues that I could take on this specific turn. I am at 5 cards in hand, so I would basically go up to 6, and then I play out something, and then go down to enough to allow Reiju to draw me 2 cards. So I could definitely take that as an out here, but we're going to think what we could do here this turn. We're likely going to have 3 additional Dawn that we don't really need to do anything with this turn, so we're going to go ahead and swing 8k. Where's that 8k going? Could be going at lead, could be going into the ace here, as I want to stymie some of my opponent's threats here. And no, it looks like it's going to life. Opponent's going to take it here. And if you're enjoying this type of gameplay, definitely join the crew and like this video if you like this new series of Spin the Wheel, where we play just like all these different leaders against each other. I whiff on the Lim, but or the whiff on the Porsche, and then Porsche's going to play out, I think, the Baby Reiju here. We're going to draw a card and then put out the big Reiju. Going to draw some additional cards. Going to try to find the 4-cost kid. Or the 4-cost, I say kid because he's a redhead, but the ETG. But yeah, if you're enjoying this series, definitely join the crew. We're always looking for new crew members, as we just recently hit 500, and I'm just so ecstatic to be at 500 by the by the end of the year here, and into the next year. It's I guess happy New Year. You can tell these are potentially recorded slightly ahead of time. It is still 2024 for me, but 2025 is looking optimistic, as I'm really enjoying the series and want to try out all kinds of fun series and new types of videos here. As the opponent's going to play out another Trafalgar Law. They are searching hard for something, and that something is the 9-drop Zoro. 9-drop Zoro being one of the best finishers in this deck. Kind of the goal of the Limb deck is to kind of flood the board early, kind of do some picking at your opponent's life total, also causing your opponents to kind of focus their forces on dealing with your board instead of your life, and then playing out some very pesky blockers, and then playing out the Zoro. Once you ramp enough, like you're likely going to be ramping every single turn with Limb, so that's something that you can definitely do. They incentivize the Sanji 2K. They did put a Doflamingo on the bottom. Opponent hasn't seen any Doflamingos this game. Doflamingo being one of the best cards in the Limb deck, because it just stands itself up every turn. It's a 6K blocker. Opponent's gonna start with 5K with Trafalgar Law here, just continuing to pressure my hand. I finally find the little baby Ichiji. So I'm gonna keep that in my hand to the best of my power. Gonna use a 2K to counter that 5K here. I'm gonna try to keep myself at a relatively high life total, as my opponent is gaining a bit of a board presence here. And they're gonna play Porcus the Ace. Ace is gonna rest the Reiju here, and then opponent's likely gonna swing into the Reiju with a 6K attack here. I could counter out of that, but again, in the Reiju deck, my suited up Vinsmokes are worth as much to me in the yard as they are on the board, so I'm happy to let them go in specific circumstances like that. I do take the hit off of a 6K lead because I just didn't want to use a 2K. My hand's getting a little sparse on resources, and I was looking for Kid Reiju, and I happened to find another Reiju off the top, so I could play that as just a raw 4-drop, but I do think I want to establish the Ichiji here. I could use the Ichiji in combination with the Porch and my leader to try to deal with some of my opponent's threats, as they have a whole rested board. Well, playing against Limb after all, right? All their stuff comes into play rested, so more often than not, you're going to have ways to contest the board, but Rush being incredibly favorable in this specific matchup here. I could go I have enough Dawn to do the Ichiji. I'm at 6 Dawn. I could also swing 7K here. We're going to play Ichiji here. We're going to activate, almost grab the Dawn out of the wrong pile, put out the good old Ichiji. He's going to come in and give something minus 2,000 power, use this handy little die, and we're going to give it to that Ace here to ensure that I can just get like a 5K into a 3K swing pretty easily with the Porsche. Yeah, we're going to go 5K. We're going to commit the leader first, just in case my opponent does something here. That way we haven't committed other resources on board. It's always good to swing with your leader first in some situations, just because you could always respond differently based on what your opponent does. Opponent just going to counter out of it. I'll just swing the 5K. He's going to counter out of it again. And I'm like, okay. Well, that's kind of annoying. I could swing into the Sanji, but that Sanji is just going to get them back a 4-cost from the yard, and that 4-cost would probably be that Film Sanji, which is pretty powerful in the later game as it gets stronger based on the amount of rested Dawn that you have. But instead, we're just going to play. We played out the Chopper blocker. We recoup a little bit of the Dawn that we've been minusing, as it gets me 1 Dawn back, and now we've got a little blocker and a few cards in hand. This is not feeling like terrible currently. I am very afraid of a Zoro coming out. Opponent uses 1 Dawn so far, leaves 9 Dawn up, so I kind of think it's likely going to be coming here, which would be kind of insane. But one thing that you'll know, one thing that we realized when playing this matchup is Zoro's going to come into play rested. So what's stopping me from swinging a bunch into Zoro, right? Nothing, absolutely nothing. The Limb deck definitely needs blockers in play first before playing out 9-cost Zoro, but unfortunately that's just the way that potentially my opponent could have ran into here if he does manage to play out a Zoro here. It does have 9 dot up, so it does make me wonder if a Zoro is coming. And if not, I'm completely fine here. It looks like he does have the Zoro in hand, and yeah, so there's nothing stopping me from just attaching a bunch to EGG to swing into the Zoro here. So maybe not the best play for Aegis to make here, but he's definitely thinking about it, right? He's in the tank right now, whether that's a play, and honestly, with just the amount of threats I have on board, it's not worth it here. He's gonna swing 5K into lead here. I'm just gonna give him a 1K again. The suited up Vinsmokes are worth as much to me in hand as they are in the trash. And then it looks like he's actually going to be playing with some Dawn here. He's going to swing a good little 14K into EGG, but I have that blocker Chopper to stop that there. As it looks like, I guess, killing the EGG was his potential plan to allow himself to resolve Zoro on the next turn. Going to my turn here, we do have a Porsche into Niji here to potentially play out the Niji from the yard. Could use that to KO something here. And oh, little panic here as I thought I was not recording. And funny enough, so I record using my phone, and I was streaming to Chromecast on a TV behind me, and that's why I kind of took a back take behind me to see if I was recording or not. And it turns out, yes, I was recording. We're gonna play the Porsche. Porsche is gonna grab the Niji. Niji did whiff on trying to find something, but we do draw off of the Reiju here. Find another 4-cost EGG, which is great here, as I have the rest of the Dawn open here. And we're gonna likely activate here and just KO the Law just to get something off the board, as his other effect is bounce a 4-cost, but Lim does not really run 4-costs. We're just gonna KO the Law. And now we're kind of in this position where we can kind of deal with the board a little bit here, as I'm a little afraid. So we're gonna go 7 into 5 here. Opponent only has 1 card in hand. We know, at least I know here in the commentating booth, that it's a Zoro in hand, so not gonna be countering out of any of those hits here. And then again, that Sanji is just annoying because of Sanji's ability to basically draw them a card from life, as well as giving them a body to put into play, is pretty annoying right now. And I'm kind of being a little fearful here. We're gonna play the Reiju out. Reiju's gonna draw us 2 cards, so opting to go for the Reiju instead of the EGG play here, as I kind of want a little bit of card advantage here. We're gonna swing 6k. It looks like 6k into possibly the Sanji here. It's gonna go to life instead, because again, a little afraid to take the Sanji. Opponent's gonna take looks like a 2k. I think that's a 2k off of life, and then gonna pass back to my opponent. My opponent doesn't have much of a board here. Looks like he picks up a second 2k here. And I mean, there's no good turn to ever slam down Zoro, especially if Zoro's going to come in rested here. So with what his hand's looking like, this might just be the turn to do it. Could potentially swing 6k into life here. Just go life, and then play out a Zoro, as he just does not have enough Dawn to contend with the EGG. So instead, he could also just swing a 7k in the EGG, try to get 1 card out of my hand. I did just draw 2 cards here. So very likely that I can just counter out of it here. Got 2 2Ks and a 1K. I pulled that EGG up front, and I'm just going to counter out of it. It's possible that I just don't have the other 7 cost in the yard, so it's kind of a dead card to me at this point. Opponent's going to play out a rested Zoro or a Rono Zoro. Doesn't that feel bad? I know Lim does work, right? Lim is doing work in OP09, but right now Lim is not feeling the best. And if you like Lim, then I'm sorry. I just don't like my things coming in tapped, personally. Here, gonna go back to my turn here. I'm kind of like in this position where opponent has what, two cards in hand. I've got quite a few cards on board. I could just throw a bunch of Dawn on top of, yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna throw enough to get out of 2 2Ks. I think that was like a 14k swing into Zoro here, and then we're just gonna play out the Reiju. If you remember, I've been discarding, that's not where that goes. I've been throwing a bunch of Reijus in the yard, so we're going to be pulling some Reijus out here. Pull this Reiju out. We're going to draw 2 cards. Draw 1 off the leader, and then draw 2 off Reiju here. And then now we found another 7-cost EGG. And now we could just kind of start poking hand a little bit. We're going to swing 5k in there. He's going to take it. We're going to swing one of the Reijus into lead here. 1 card in hand, he's going to counter out of it. We're going to go 5k. He's going to take it. Then we're going to go 6k. And I believe that was on a 2k off life, so he's going to take that as well. Looks like he does find a Lim and a blocker Rosinante in hand. And I'm just going to activate stage and grab a Niji. I'm in a pretty, like, I would say, like, we're kind of in garbage time now, right? Lim does not have any bombastic ways to clear board. They could just play a bunch of blockers, but ultimately I've just got enough in play. Lim has barely anything in hand. And this game is gonna be pretty much it here, but I know good old Aegis, he's gonna stay strong. He's gonna try to play it out for the sake of the camera here, but honestly, she should probably just concede. But anyways, even though we're watching Lim get stomped, if you like this type of gameplay, if you're enjoying this series here, definitely join the crew, like the video, subscribe, all that fun stuff that we push as YouTubers here. And I'm happy to deliver this type of content. It's been kind of fun to do some kind of an overhead analysis of both my plays and my opponent's plays here. So I'm looking forward to doing more of this in the future. Opponent plays a Lim, grabs, I think, a blocker here. Just going to swing good old 6k into lead. I'm going to give him a 2k. Then he does have 6 Dawn up to allow him to swing 2 ways. He's going to swing 6k into Porsche. I'm just going to let it go. as I just have enough ways to potentially kill him. He's going to play 1 blocker. He's going to play 2 blockers. And those do not ready up until attack. So Lim does ready up. But those Rosinantes do ready up after an opponent's attack, so they will become blockers anyways. But with 2 blockers and 0 life and 1 card in hand, I can very easily finish this off here. I could just swing. We could just swing a few 7s. Is likely what we're gonna do here. First 7's gonna block 7 seconds. Second 7's gonna get blocked, and then we'll finish off my opponent here, just confirming how many cards he has in hand. We're gonna send 7K. It's gonna untap block. We're going to send 7K, 7K again, untap block, and we're going to send 7K again, and that's going to be game here as Lim just had a 1K Usopp in hand. But that is the matchup here, Lim versus Reiju. If you like this kind of content, again, join the crew, and we'll see you in the next video.